All right, it is 6:07, and I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Thompson Conservation Commission, Monday, December 18th, 2023. Do we want to do a roll call so that we can kind of,
I think I have
names to
everybody.
faces, yeah?
I have all the names.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the first order of business is a review of the minutes of the November 20th, 2023 meeting. Everyone had a chance to look over the minutes? Do you want another minute?
Trouble with any of the PDFs?
Oh, I don't want the agenda. That's stuff.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second.
Right. All in favor of the motion on the table?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Okay, financial matters.
Fortunately, that was left on my desk today. We did pay our three memberships, Connecticut Audubon Society, shared membership, Ackwick, and our membership for the Women Land Trust. They're all base free.
Make a motion.
Yeah, no, we made that motion in November. It's minutes, and I made the we have one coming up in March for Connecticut Land Conservation Council. I think that was a $60 one. That's
make sure that's on the agenda. All righty, next item is correspondence.
So we have two items, one from our town attorney about use of open space fund. He asked us some questions, we asked some questions back. So we looked into when this open space fund was created, it was the product of subdivision regs in 2004. It wasn't enacted through our ordinance, so Attorney Richards feels that the language of our subdivision regs mirrors the state statute, and that the state statute is a little connected. It's nuanced and how ordinances can be written. So we felt this could be used for any purpose for preserving open space or acquiring additional land for open space for recreational or cultural purposes. So we have a relatively broad scope of permissible uses. Other correspondence was from Michael Richards, president of the Land Trust, the Women Land Trust. And I had sent him more questions, and he kind of deflated himself a little bit. He kind of realized that it's a big ask. And he plugged the Trainwreck Memorial Park project as one that's more impactful for that amount of money we have to get a project done with something like that. So we read through some of this comments quickly. He understands the commission's position about spending that amount of money. It's probably best if the commission finds higher visibility, smaller cash needed projects that could lead to positive public momentum. Start small, promote widely in the town. They actually find being able to increase its budget for open space fund. As a Thompson resident, he's in full support. Also providing context on the property that they're looking into. Boy Scouts property in Wisconsin. They've received another 6 months extension to talk about it with them. So I think we haven't ruled it out. He hasn't ruled it out, but so we need to talk about it a lot longer for that kind of money. So as you mentioned previously, it's a relatively large money acquisition. So it probably isn't a good fit for the existing open space fund situation. The 5K being used to purchase the Butler property as part of the train wreck project would be a more logical use of the open space fund.
Yeah, that's not on the agenda, it's old business.
Other conservation related correspondence, got our thank you for membership letters. Agent report is another unfortunate casualty of the day. I went in the office fully prepared to be typing that up, and rain took over. Wetlands took over too. But for my own sanity and sake of getting caught up, I'm going to write that report and share it around with everybody. Just have it.
Is there anything notable you want to mention tonight?
No, I'm bad with memory.
You're young.
I mean, I've had a bit going on too outside of work with family in the hospital, and so that was got a lot of my attention last week. But everybody's doing much better.
Okay, so old business. Item A is discussion regarding 65 Main Small Business Support Center and Public Works.
So I handed around, or we had in the pile there, the flyer for this workshop. Yeah, Wayne Wiseman, the director of permaculture project, who is designing the food forest, present for this meeting. I'm thinking, yep, that's still on. It's going to be held here this Wednesday. It's going to be the third workshop. I think were you able to go, Peter? It's just Dave.
I went to the first one, so I've been able to go to
Not to the last one.
I went to the last one. It seemed like it was so much more on the building, and I'm more interested in the outdoor and the gardenings and everything, so.
This one is why you should keep Wednesday free. Yeah.
Should be more, you know, what, up my alley, right?
I'll be at that one.
So little plans to go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping for that. See if I can-
Since we have Tara in the room, I don't know if Tara.
Happy to answer any questions as best I can.
Questions? Is this not supposed to be a picture of the back of it, or?
I think that's an example.
But that's just one of Wayne's prior
Okay.
concept designs for another. I got tired of using the same old pictures.
Yeah, we don't have the little ponds. We have.
I said, Jane, it's gotta be somebody else's kind of.
Try if you can make it. Try to RSVP so we can keep track.
Or reading our.
Patty, you already did RSVP.
I did, yeah.
Just because I believe in feeding people who come out at night, so I just want to be sure I order enough pizza.
Hint, hint, Dan.
I didn't know the last time it was pizza. I know this time. I'll snack this
I
time.
get the
We don't
PDF.
plan that time.
I heard you, by the way, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Did you get a PDF version of it?
That's in my email. So let me check. I'll make a note to myself. I kind of look at my emails for.
On which property? Kinds of buildings they're working with.
So the actual parcel for 65 Main is only just over a half acre. It's a portion of Riverside Park. So I'm using the figure 3.2 acres because that's how I roughly mapped it out using our parcel map. It's anywhere between 3 and 3.5. How much of that finally gets used for this purpose remains to be seen. We may see a little bit more of that Wednesday night when Wayne comes here, because he's already been out once and, you know, done some initial soil assessments and did site walks back there. And he has access to all that mapping data as well. So but 3.2 acres is what I've been using as an approximation.
This is the other side of the river piece of the Riverside Park.
Right. So it's the west bank of the,
So it doesn't go across the river, it just stays on.
right.
Our next item, if there are any more questions about food forest or the business incubator. The fund, open space fund requests, we talked about them briefly about the attorney's opinion on the use of the fund and the Wyndham Land Trust position. We have Terry here to talk about the Butler property and the Trainwreck Memorial fund request. And I think it's lowered from its initial
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to do that. So the total original project budget is 20 grand, and that's 4 grand out of the ARPA funds, which was the proposed match, and then 16,000 awarded by CTD for all the prep work, the design, the acquisition, surveying, blah, blah, blah. Legal fees. So should have added it up. We've spent 75, so roughly $9-ish, I think, $1,000 of it thus far to J&D for the surveying and to Halloran and Sage and to the Butler's attorney for where we've gotten, they agreed to a price of $5,000. We would like to go to bid for construction in the next 24. And as I was talking to J&D about it, we really felt that we needed to sink some more money into a higher order of construction document and J&D preparing the bid documents. But what that does is that leaves now an overrun on the grant. So what I initially had suggested was that because we've used the words in public meetings that we're paying for the acquisition out of the grant, it would have been my preference to then tap the open space fund for those other incidentals related to the, acquisition construction. But I understand the commission's sort of preference to keep it to straight acquisition. So it's easy enough to, say if the commission will authorize the $5,000 out of the open space fund, between the remaining grant funds, the Trails Committee might be interested in taking some of their non-taxpayer dollars and contributing, because they do all theirs out of direct fundraising. And then I can, if I have to, steal a little bit from the match for grant number 2 for the same project, which is the construction and implementation grant. It ends up being a shuffle, but the important thing I think is to keep it from being implicated in taxpayer dollars, direct taxpayer dollars, because there was no appetite for that. So if I have to take something away from the construction piece in the second grant to make up that final gap, that's fine, but it would be super helpful if we could tap the open space fund, at least for the acquisition, which would be the $5,000 we've agreed to with others.
And in the correspondence that Dan had with Rich Roberts, who's the town attorney now, okay. The open space fund, pardon me, was established through language in the planning and zoning regulations. So it's section 8-25. I'll pass this around so you can look at it. But it is, yeah, okay. It essentially says that, sorry, I'm just trying to find a good spot to start. When a town takes funds as fee in lieu of, an open space set aside, the fund shall be used for the purpose of preserving open space or acquiring additional land for open space or for recreation or agricultural purposes. So it seems like that is an allowable use as long as it's used for acquiring the land. I don't believe it can be used for any of the other expenses associated with the sale or purchase.
Does P&Z have to, okay, this money going out of here also? I thought it did.
They've already approved the acquisition under 824, as has the Board of Selectmen. I think that what you're asking is actually a separate question, and we haven't addressed that yet. But since P&Z has already approved it once, they're going to approve it again. I mean, they've already put their stamp on it. If we have to go and do one more sort of bureaucratic steps. I don't view that as an obstacle. Yeah, they are, I believe, two separate permissions. And just going back to the statutory authority that allows it in the subdivision regulations, to be perfectly clear, that exists in the updated subdivision regulations as well. The fee in lieu option for subdividers does exist. And although I can't say it's a certainty, I would say the probability that a project comes along that will, where fee in lieu would be a viable option, is higher because of the way the subdivision regulations were written, and because of the way the zoning regulations were written to allow for smaller lot sizes in this district, where it makes more sense to do fee in lieu rather than have an open space. There is a possibility that that fund could see some replenishment, or more of a chance, I guess, is the.
I agree with that assessment on the new regulations, that there's more of an opportunity for fee in lieu to come up, smaller lot sizes.
How large is this parcel?
The Butler parcel. It's roughly a half acre. We originally were looking at it as an acre, again, just based on the kind of, what makes sense to carve it off. But after we talked to the Butlers, there's actually an access path that they need across the back, and there's also some topography that made using the whole acre impractical, so we whittled it down to a half.
And this is where the turntable
Correct.
was?
Yeah, so they're gonna be reconstructing the historic stone turntable. The stones are actually already on site. Doing some other grubbing and clearing there and whatever, but opening it up as an interpretive element in the Airline State Park Trail. And something else I was gonna say there. Whatever it is, it's totally.
How much land does the Butler family own back there?
Hundreds of acres.
They do.
They're in, I think they're in the top 5 property owners in town.
I'd love to go up and see it from, because I live down that area, and it's like,
They have more than one parcel as well, but this is a part of the main parcel to which the farm itself is attached. Off the top of my head, I want to say it's like 350 acres, but I could be wrong about that.
but that's like, we've got the alpaca, right, the road going down, and that's where,
It's a part of the same parcel with the alpaca.
right,
Yeah, so the trail goes, down one side, and then the Butler's property abuts the Rod and Gun Club.
where they have how many acres do they have? I don't know.
I'm sure I looked at it at some point, but I don't remember. So it's a tiny fraction of the Butler's
Wow.
property, but ultimately the sort of rationale that we went through as I was talking about it with them was, we had a handful of options. Everybody likes the project. We have a standing memorandum of understanding to do the work even before the acquisition happens. But then at the end, if they still own it and it's a part of a publicly used trail, that just seemed very unfavorable to them as private landowners. I wouldn't want that.
No.
And for the town to own a half acre attached to the larger state park trail also doesn't make any sense. So we're gonna acquire it, do our work, and then essentially donate it to the state. But this is years down the line. So while we're working on it, we'll be the owner. That's what the acquisition is for. And then it becomes a part of this larger CTD property.
I'm presuming the Butlers have talked to a tax accountant or something on this. It seems, if this was my piece, I'd be going, $5,000 tax deduction versus $5,000 in taxable income at capital gains rates.
I can't tell you if they've spoken to an accountant, but I know that was their proposed price after they spoke to their land use attorney.
Okay,
So whatever this, they have been a part of this, this is not me, because the amount that I put forward was just based on the appraised value of the acre, which was $2,000 in the grant proposal. But as we talked about it more, again, you know, based on what they paid for the property and what they thought was fair, you know, $5,000 is where we landed.
Gee, wouldn't it be beneficial for them just to donate it?
that's my thought, is you're talking about a half acre piece.
Seriously? Yeah.
Donate it, take the tax deduction,
If they have so much acres, wouldn't it be nice? I mean,
but I can't blame them if they don't, it's theirs.
Yeah, and also the process by which that gets donated to DEEP apparently is somewhat convoluted.
Yeah,
And it would land on them to do that,
yeah,
as opposed to landing on me to do it for them with DEEP. They're on their own time frame, and then regardless, we've taken all of that liability away from the Butlers. It's just public land at that point, one way or the other.
no, I just wonder if they consider that. I certainly wouldn't say, why don't you donate it to us, but I would have raised the financially, are you better off taking $5,000 you have to pay taxes on? Or are you better off taking a $5,000 deduction? And depending on their other situation, one would be better than the other. I like getting money, so I can't blame.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to approve the use of $5,000 from the open space fund to supplement the purchase of land for the Trainwreck Memorial Park? What's the total in here now? $295,000.
I thought it was 95,000, in the account.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I have no idea.
Mike thought it was 105.
yeah, but I thought the town, I mean, I thought we're having a meeting for the town, coming out of the town money. Is it gonna go through them?
So we've gotten in, we're chicken and egging now, because the 824 statutory authority to make the acquisition, that's what was already approved by planning and zoning and the board of selectmen and has to go to town meeting. That's just for the town to acquire it, no matter what,
Regardless of
of where the money's coming from.
Okay, but it's not really coming out of the town, it's coming out of us.
It's never been coming out of the town. I initially questioned why we had to go to town meeting on it, because it was coming out of grant money, but because it's a land acquisition, regardless of the fact that no direct taxpayer dollars are involved, it still has to go to town meeting, and that's what this is. So if there is that extra step that Norma suggests, which is that planning and zoning, I guess, may have been given the final
That I
authority.
suggest, it is, I think, I remember John Rice coming forward and saying,
No, I think you may be right, Norma, I just can't verify it one way or the other. I'd have to go back and look at that more specifically. But like I say, that's, again, we're chicken and egging. That's just me going back to the commission and saying, hey, we're shifting around which pockets of the cash are getting used. We just need P and Z to give their blessing on this piece now.
But they need to know that this isn't really coming out of, it's,
Oh, yes, it's gonna be, I'm sure the question will come up, Pat, you know, why are we using town money for this? And I will
It's
have to
not,
stand
it's
up
not,
there and
it's not
say,
that
we are
easy.
not using town money for this.
right, it's coming out of conservation money, right?
No, it's coming from a state grant.
Oh, so, okay, all right.
Right, regardless of how the final, like, breakdown of which of the three potential funding sources pays for the acquisition, none of them are Thompson taxpayer dollars.
We have to have town meetings for the town to even accept, like, okay, there's gonna be this big grant of money to buy in the school bus, it's not gonna cost the town anything. We still have to vote on taking that money, right? It's the way ingredient in town government works.
Yes, the motion was to approve the use of $5,000 from the open space fund to supplement the purchase of land for the Trainwreck Memorial Park. And we're waiting for a second.
Second.
I thought you made the motion.
Pat makes.
Oh, Pat made the motion, okay.
Any further discussion?
Or would you like a roll call for this?
How do you usually proceed with these folks?
We have done roll calls for decisions.
I think we probably should. You want to say, Pat, do you want to start?
Action first?
Yeah, we're gonna do a roll call
Are you in favor of?
Say-
vote. Sorry, I should say, all in favor, we're doing a roll call. So are you in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Norma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carol? Yes. Judy? Yes. All right, obviously. Nobody disapproves of it, no abstentions. Okay, so the motion carries.
Thank you very much, my friends.
Draft our letter. What is our next step?
I probably have to talk to Attorney Roberts about that, what the procedural,
Yeah, he
Order of
didn't
action.
answer that question for us, so if you can get that.
he'll answer it. Actually, I can probably ask Attorney Slater before he scoots after town meeting today, because I'll have him in front of me.
Yeah, get you that letter to speak.
Sweet. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Questions? Sure. All right. Did we need to have any additional discussion on Wyndham Land Trust? It sounds like they have gotten an extension, 6-month extension, and I think,
It sounded like he was working towards other sources.
yeah,
Said, I think we could take to heart for seeing how to best spend our small money, where we can have impact, and use it to catalyze, interest in the open space fund, seeding the open space fund, and get us familiar with its use and not collecting dust as it has been for a little while.
Where is the money actually? Need somebody, need some investment or need something?
I think it's sitting on just a budget line of the town ledger.
Really?
that would be my thought, yeah.
You think they'd be investing in something though?
Yeah,
Probably. Would you refresh my memory, what they wanted for?
Wyndham Land Trust?
so this said the RI Boy Scouts owners of property in East Thompson. So I think the end of Baker Road, the dirt road headed east.
All right, okay. Mhm. That was border, Rhode Island, Boy Scout. Which border?
Initially, I thought this was land around Long Pond, because there is land on the market.
Yeah. I thought Wyndham was gonna file that.
They have some parcels over there, and I also figured that, that's their adjacent or abutting, that, that's kind of how they proceed. They try to get next door, get next door, get next door until.
Right, because already the Weisses have donated some of the land there down the road from me to Wyndham, that's why.
The one that I'm thinking about, which is actually 2 parcels, just might be way too expensive for them. I think the listing was $600,000.
And I have some land back there that's been bought by some businessman too, or something. Someone, investor.
Sorrel Enterprises, name on a few pieces back there. There's a few LLCs that own the land back there.
Off of like, Sunny down in there somewhere. Down in there somewhere, but I don't quite know. I get confused on the way. I
Off
just walk in.
of, the sunny side, there was, the, property that got, it's a approval, they built a single family home. That's kind of right up along there. That got its approval last year.
But you know, when you walk the trails at certain times of the year, you go past the alpacas, you know, and then there's kind of swampy, sometimes that swampy has gotten runoff.
Really swampy today.
Huh?
It's probably really swampy today.
But it's got runoff, it gets runoff from the alpaca, from the, you know, going down, you can't, it's there, you know, you can smell it when you walk sometimes.
It's good to know. Like, reach out to them about, some best practices.
He's usually pretty good about cleaning it up, because the advantage of alpacas versus horses, cows, is they go in the corner, so he's been real good about keeping that clean.
Except for a couple of years ago when I found the boneyard up there, and all the dead alpacas and the bellies and the bones and it kind of got me, you know, but that's where they put, I don't know if they, you know, some that die, or I don't know if they still do it, I don't walk up there and look at it anymore, so.
It's the recommended method for getting rid of your deer carcass parts, is you dump them back in the woods.
The coyotes love it, because sometimes when I walk the trails, I have to walk by the river and I'll find bones.
Turkey vultures,
Yeah.
yeah, gets the calcium out, of it. That's the recommended deer disposal.
Yeah.
Some people don't quite get it into the woods.
Yeah.
Well, they do, it was way up, it's just that one day while I was walking, I was like, what is all that white stuff? And
And,
it was the fur.
and I know that there's, I don't know if it's state law yet, here it is in other states, but they're telling farmers not to bury, but to compost
But
the.
they're very nice about, you know, they put a lot of trees down, so you can't, so the kids can't do the quads or anything, but they don't mind you walking it, you know, and
Yeah.
talk to them. You just have to kind of step over or go around, but it's just like.
But he's been pretty good, so and it's still worth talking to and making sure, but they have to follow so many regulations, and they're open to inspections.
Well, they do have big mounds of it because it makes wonderful fertilizer, it's full of worms. You know, you can buy a bag for $5, you know, and it's wonderful, it's got nice big worms in it. It's good stuff.
Okay, it's quarter of, I don't know who wants to attend the,
I have a question,
selectmen's meeting. so.
how come we're going to Tuesday next in January instead of on Monday?
Monday's a holiday.
Yeah, in our bylaws, when a meeting falls on a Monday,
There is.
where there's a holiday, that we
I'm looking at it now.
schedule for Tuesday following.
Sorry about that.
February is the same way, I think,
President's
President's Day.
Speaking of bylaws, what's the next item on the agenda? Should we, go home and read them and be prepared to start reviewing them in January?
Sounds good.
Good for me.
I'm not sure I'm gonna make the January meeting, but I'll read the bylaws.
Okay.
If I have any feedback. I'll
Yeah,
send
send any
Yeah,
comments.
yeah.
if I have any comments. I was not,
So that's our homework, right?
Definitely. All right, new business, doesn't look like we have any new business. Citizens' comments? No, no citizens.
I think so, nobody's logged on.
Members forum. It's quiet tonight. That's usually Sue's opportunity to bring something. All right, well, the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024,
Oh.
at 7 p.m. That's great.
Unless I can invent a time machine. But who knows if anybody will see me again.
Right.
All right. There are no other announcements. It is, I can't read the clock, 6:47, and we will adjourn the meeting.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, absolutely.
Holidays.
Yeah, for a little while.
Didn't take too long.
Okay.
Who's done their shopping?
I've thought about it.
The gospel tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
I keep going back and finding
Oh, those are-
different things.
Oh, yeah.
Got a couple of people.
Yeah, I've had blue ones.
I don't have anything for in-laws, I know.
Those are annoying.
And then I thought I did on my Christmas card.
I made a mistake opening my eyes.
Did I send it to you? Did I-
Oh, I didn't see that.
Dog.
Yeah, it's not a comfort. No. What are they checking for?
I have, they call it words.
I've got it too.